Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to wait a few minutes for some people to jump on, be here with me. It's way more fun doing this live when people are there with me. So how does it get better? My hair's so fuzzy. It's so humid here in Queensland today. So awesome, guys. So today's live, I have called From Invisible to Visible because I've actually gone through those of you that actually filled out the questions before you actually joined this group. And a lot of you were talking about the willingness to be seen, being visible. And so I wanted to just speak to that. So I'm excited to have this conversation because this has been a big one for me. And I've just finished the 3-day Right Voice for You class with Chris Hughes in Sydney, Australia, which most of you that saw my very last live on my Expanding Your Business with Ease challenge would know that. So amazing. There's 2 of you on. Let me know where you're from. Hello, everybody. Hello, beautiful to you too. And to Kalina, yay. And again, please feel free as we go through this topic to pop comments in the chat box as well, or anything else that's up for you. There's a few people that have messaged me or posted under the post, I guess, that I put in the group. So it's Linda Magic, yay. Awesome, guys. So let's get into it, hey? I'm just going to, and it's Sarah. Amazing. Awesome. I'm just going to open this so I can actually probably see your comments. Good morning, everyone. Awesome, awesome. All right. So guys, welcome to this live in the Wing group. And as I mentioned, this live is about I've called it From Invisible to Visible. And I really wanted to have a conversation that led on from our last conversation about engagement as well, which a lot of you enjoyed. So the thing is, what most of us probably realize is that unless we're actually willing to engage and include ourselves in our business, in our creations, and actually allow you out into the world and be seen, your business can never be what you actually desire it to be. Now, I know this one too well because I've kind of spent the majority of like having my business in the last 3 years, like willing to be seen and then not willing to be seen. So I've kind of gone back and forth. And this is something that's very common and something that keeps us from, and our business from expanding as much as we know is possible, is when we're not actually willing to show up and be seen. So I wanted to ask you guys, what have you defined being visible as? And please feel free to pop it in the comments. What have you defined being visible as? Like, what does that bring up for you guys? Or what have you decided you have to do to be visible? So let me know, pop it in the comments, because it's really interesting because we all have so many different points of view and definitions of what it actually means to be visible. And someone's written, be on social media, constant posting. Superman, yes. Do lives, yeah. And this is what I wanted to speak to today, because what if it was actually none of that? So everything that brings up and everything you've defined being visible as that keeps you from true engagement with the world, will you destroy and create that times a gazillion? Right, one good and bad, pod and pork, or in shorts, boys and beyonds. So the thing is, like, actually showing up, being seen is not about being the loudest person. It's not about showing up 100 times a day on social media. What if it's actually about how much you can receive? Showing up in the world actually allows us to receive way more than we think. It's actually about us having no barriers, total vulnerability that allows everyone to contribute to us. It's receiving of the world and allowing you to be part of it and allowing the world to be part of you. And the thing is, like, whenever we make something invisible, then not only can other people not see it, but we can't even see it. For example, how many of you are trying to make yourself invisible to the tax man? If you do that, you actually make your income invisible to you. If you try and make yourself invisible, how much are you actually willing to receive? So, how many of you are actually resisting how many of you are resisting being seen? How many of you are resisting showing up? How many of you are doing your best to make yourself invisible? And what if you define being seen and showing up as? And what decision and conclusion have you already come to about how you will be received in the world? And someone says, realizing how much I shrink around that stealth to all the things. Yeah. So the thing is, what we don't realize is so many of us have all these, like we've already come to all these decisions and conclusions about how we're actually going to be received, which is what keeps us from showing up as us. How many of you have already decided before you start that no one is going to hear what you say? What you say or what you've created has no value. For me, one of my big ones was that they've already heard this 1,000 times. And because I shared the tools of access consciousness, and a lot of you in here probably do the same, I was like, well, there's so much noise in the world already, and there's so much posted on social media. I don't want that noise. And then the other thing, like, how many of you have decided that you have no value? So everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, on good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So everywhere you guys are resisting and reacting to being seen, because you've already decided how people will react and what their judgment of you will be, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, on good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And for those of you that are completely new here that haven't watched my previous lives, that is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information. But basically, it's just shifting the energy of what's underneath the thing that we're speaking to that keeps you from actually changing it. So, and the other part of that is like, what judgment and invalidation of you are you using to never be seen are you choosing? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, one, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So the thing is, if we've already decided how someone's going to react, what their judgment will be, what their point of view about us will be, that's all that we can see. And we choose that in order to prove ourselves right. And it was interesting because Linda had commented on one of my posts and she said, can I speak more about creating her products as visible without being pushy? But the thing is, if you're trying to resist anything, if you're trying to resist being pushy, then you already have a judgment of it, which is all people can see. And that's the thing, like if we're kind of trying to put ourselves out there or we're showing up on live or, you know, we want to post about our products or our classes, your judgment of that is actually what is way louder than anything else. So all the judgments you have of you, of your creations, of your products, that is all that people can see. Will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what age were you all when you decided that this is how you were going to show up to the world? What age are you being when you go to show up to the world? And what happened at that age? So all the decisions, conclusions, judgments, and computations you've made at that age that keeps you showing up with total vulnerability as you, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And as I've started to like dive into this topic for myself and really look at what it's going to take to truly willing to be seen without a judgment, without a point of view, what I've started to recognize is that what if this whole conversation was actually not about other people seeing you or being visible to other people, but it was actually about the willingness to actually see yourself, the willingness to see your greatness, the willingness to see the gift that you actually be in the world. Because I think so often we make it about like the willingness for others to actually see us. But if you had true intimacy with you, true vulnerability, true allowance, and were in communion with the entire universe, would you have a judgment of showing up and being seen? So, what greatness are you all hiding from you that if you unhid it, would allow the world to see it? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, or name shorts, boys and beyonds. What if this whole conversation isn't actually about anyone else? Because in this reality, when we talk about like visibility, oftentimes we're talking about people attach it to like the numbers, like how many people are seeing your posts, how many people are engaging with your posts, how many people follow you on social media, how often are you showing up on social media? And again, what if it wasn't actually about any of that? What if it was actually the willingness to include you in the world? So, everything that brings up and everything that doesn't allow you to be, know, perceive, and receive the gift of you being you and allowing you in the world, will you destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you were actually willing to have total communion with all molecules, with the entire universe,
Maybe it's not working. I can see one comment. Someone can let me know. That would be amazing. Let's just begin. Okay, cool. Yay. I think my comments are like really delayed. So that's amazing. You can hear me. Okay, so amazing. Awesome. So, hi Tom. Where were we? We were talking about, that's a good question. I think we we're talking about like, what if you're willing to know that the world is greater with you showing up in it? And we were having the conversation about what if it wasn't about anyone else seeing you? What if it was actually about your willingness to see yourself? Hi, Linda. So I want you guys right now to do, I wanted to do a little exercise as well. So going on from what we've just spoken about, if you guys just desire to close your eyes wherever you are, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. If you can close your eyes, I encourage you to do so. And I want you to just close your eyes and just get really present with the space that you're in. Lower your walls and barriers. And I want you guys to get the energy of you choosing to withdraw from the world, with you choosing to not show up in the world, with you choosing to not allow the world know the possibilities that you're aware of. Get that energy in your body. Cool. And now I want you to begin to flow massive amounts of energy from you out into the world. I want you to begin to energetically allow you out into the world. No walls, no barriers, but just get the sense of what the world would be like if you allowed you in it. What changes? What shifts? And you can open your eyes when you're ready. Did you guys notice the difference and what come up for you? If we were really, truly willing to have total communion with everything and everyone around us, how much more would we actually allow ourselves out into the world? Yeah, Linda says so much joy in my body. Totally. Because, like, how much do our bodies actually desire to be seen? Our bodies get so excited to actually be in front of an audience and actually be seen because it allows us to be everything that we are, because that it allows us to include us in the world. We are a vital part of this universe. Our infinite beings overlap everyone else's infinite beings. So if you were choosing withdrawal or you were choosing to not show up and actually introduce people to the possibilities that you're aware of, what if you were doing the universe and this planet a total disservice? So everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And my invitation for you guys with this live is, what if you guys were so relaxed in who you are? You actually had no requirement of anyone validating you, and you had no point of view of what anyone thought of you. What relaxation could you choose that would allow you out into the world? And Tom says there was a sense of sadness when I withdrew and delicious energy when I flowed out. Amazing. That's so cool. So the thing is, like, each of us is aware of something that no one else is. And we have the potential to offer the world a different possibility. There is no one that's you. There is no one that's me. And that's what business is for me. It's the actualization of a different possibility. It's the actualization of what you're aware of that no one else is aware of. And this is what started shifting and changing everything for me, because as I was saying, I had that point of view that, like, well, everyone speaks about these tools and everyone knows these tools, and I don't just want to be another, just show up and just be another distraction. And then I got how different we all are and how different I speak to certain topics than other people. And I want to invite you guys to this as well, because if there wasn't, say, for example, as many bars facilitators around the world, for those of you, and I know a lot of you do access consciousness and facilitate bars classes, there wouldn't be anywhere near as many people choosing it. And as I mentioned, I recently did a Right Voice for You class with Chris, which was brilliant. And there's a passage in that manual that changed my entire reality. And he was mentioning that, what if you're willing to have the vulnerability with you that actually allowed people to know of a different possibility that was available? And I really started to get that. And this was what I was choosing with this business group as well. Is, again, I'd created it, I was aware of a possibility, and then I was like, oh, I don't just want to be another person talking to people about, the same things. And I was really making it about me. But what if you actually were willing to engage people into seeing a different possibility? And what if that was the only result that you actually looked for? What if everything you did was actually to create a future, for the future, and for a possibility that you can have? And with that, what if you didn't require validation for it this lifetime? What if it was about creating a future rather than not doing something, not showing up to try and avoid judgment? Do you notice how much more expansive that is when you're actually willing to choose to put you out in the world, when you do it to create a future? You've got to get that the only reason we don't actually allow ourselves to be seen is to avoid a judgment that we have of ourselves. So, what judgment do you have of you that prevents the world from seeing a different possibility? And everything that is times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, on good and bad, pod and poc, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And where are you making this whole thing about being seen about you? As weird as it sounds, like, what if we're not relevant? What if it's actually the possibilities that you're offering the world that's what's relevant? And then include you in that. And for me, this is what really started to shift things for me was, again, like I said, I was making this all about me. I was making it all about what I decided I knew, what I decided I didn't know, instead of going, well, what possibilities am only I aware of that I'm the mouthpiece for? And if I wasn't willing to actually show up and be that mouthpiece, what disservice am I actually doing the world? And again, if you're not a facilitator or not a coach of, access consciousness or of any other tools, like we'll use Linda's example with the products, it's like, what possibility do those products create in the world? And what if only you can actually bring that voice to the world? And are you willing to choose that? Linda says, you've blown my mind and my cells are dancing in my body. Thank you. That's amazing. My invitation for you guys is, what if we really stopped looking to others to tell us if we're on the right track? What if no one's point of view was actually relevant? And I know that can be way easier said than done. And this is still something that I am truly choosing towards, was not making anyone else's point of view relevant, but what you know is possible. And if you didn't require validation from what you know is possible this lifetime, how much does that actually open up? Because the thing is, like, we attach this whole thing about being the willingness to be seen or being visible as requiring the validation to prove the value that it is in the world. What if you allowing yourself out into the world is the gift? What if that is the value of you? You literally allowing and including you out into the world. And everything that doesn't allow that times a gazillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pon, poc, or name, shorts, boys, and beyonds. If you were truly willing to show up as you, share what you know is possible in the world, you will change people's lives. Now, are you willing to be adored? Are you willing to be known? And this is the other thing, like I said on the first live, which feels like a lifetime ago now, what if the willingness to show up was actually the willingness to receive? What would you have to be willing to receive in order to allow you out into the world? And what would you have to be willing to lose? And everything that doesn't allow you to be, know, perceive, and receive that, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And within this Right Voice For You class that we did with Chris, he was talking about the willingness to be seen and not seen. And if you're not willing to be seen, if you're not willing to allow you out in the world, are you including you in your creations in your business or not? And Chris was saying that if you don't actually include you in your business, or when you don't include you in your business, it's when you actually expect validation for what you've created. And this whole conversation about validation and value is huge with this whole thing about actually being visible. But if you don't actually include you in your business, that's when you're actually expecting validation. So if anywhere you are looking for people to validate you, to see your value, you're not actually including you in your life, not only just your business. Everywhere you're looking for validation and the recognition for what you've created, you actually take you out of what you've created and you stop receiving that gift of what you've created. And so what I was recognizing is everywhere I was looking for validation for what I knew, particularly for what I knew in business that's different, I was actually taking myself out of the equation. I was taking myself out of that creation. And I stopped receiving the gift that it is, that this entity, that this possibility actually is in the world. So that was kind of what I was talking about, is like, what if it wasn't about you and what if you weren't relevant? So the other part of this before we finish, as it's starting to rain even more, is how many of you actually withdraw to make people reach for you? Because this is the thing, it's like, how many of you here don't believe that you're seen, don't believe that people know you, don't believe that you're visible? But is that actually true? Or how many of you actually use withdraw as a manipulation to get people to reach for you, and everything that doesn't allow you to acknowledge that? Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good and bad, pun, poc, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And I had exactly the same thing. Like recently, I was like, no, nobody knows me. And, I didn't actually mind that nobody knew me, but I still had this point of view that nobody knows me. And I'm like, wait a second, like, let me look at this. Is that actually true? And again, what have I defined visibility as? And for me, again, it was the whole showing up on lives constantly, like posting things, in like hundreds of groups, which I wasn't necessarily doing. So I feel like we've gone like in 100 different places all at once. It's raining even more now. So I think this is a really great time to stop the live. I realized that the last live was still going actually. And I ended it when I kind of started this one. So for those of you that have got to the end of watching this one, yeah, it would be black. So I'm not sure whether we'll see what I do. Maybe I download the live and clip it, and then it might be easier for you guys to kind of watch in the future and put it on YouTube. So amazing, guys! Thank you so much for being here with me and sticking in to this. That rain is delightful. Um, I'm just wondering what the home play is. I'll pop something up, but really, I guess it's what would you have to be willing to receive in order to allow you out in the world, and what would you have to be willing to lose? And just play with those questions and then destroy and uncreate everything that is, basically. You're so welcome, Linda, and for someone else that's Facebook user, and thank you for sticking in. And for those of you as well who are wondering, I am about to release the what am I doing? 4-month business program as well. And I asked you guys in the group who would be interested because I had a few of you contact me about it. So that was meant to be actually released today, or like doors were meant to open today. And I'm still waiting on it being confirmed, like with someone in Access Consciousness, because we have to get classes approved. So that's still coming. So just know it'll be anytime in the next few days, but I'm really excited to offer that to you guys. And that'll really be a deep dive into everything I guess we've spoken about, personal facilitation, and I'll post that in this group when doors are open, and I will send you guys an email as well. So I'm just going to open it to 15 spots this time because I'd really love for those of you to choose to actually create this with me as well. I want to know what you guys desire, what you guys know, and what I can contribute to you, because we can truly go anywhere with all of this. So amazing. Thank you guys. Have a beautiful morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we have another live at the end of the month. But again, I think I called it help, how much do I charge? And we'll just see. I will continue to like post in the group and contribute to you guys. And I'll just see where you guys want to go, because maybe that topic's up for you guys and maybe it's not up for you guys as well. So um, please post in the group whenever you desire as well, if there's anything that you guys know that you guys can contribute to everyone. And how does it get any better than this? Bye, guys.